Whenever you're ready.
Alright, Rockers, Turbo, back here with you inside the Asylum. I told you we would be joined by a guest this week. This week's guest, some of you are probably scratching your head going, but isn't that the enemy? Well, in the world of internet radio, I, as well as my guests, do not believe in enemy and competition, because at the end of the day, it's all about the music that we are about in the world of internet radio. Joining me now by phone, a man I have known for more years than I can remember how many, and I'm happy to call a brother from another mother, getting ready to celebrate his 10th year in radio, internet radio, with official FM radio, one of the homes of this very show, the Asylum. None other than Bob Marino, now by phone here inside the Asylum. Bob, my brother, how are you?
Dude, I am very, very well. Thank you so much for having me on, as always. You guys are family for sure. Brother from another mother is a definite term I use with you guys for sure, both yourself and Jay Scorpion, man. Bull Spike Radio that's family, man. We're not competitors, man. We're family. This is a togetherness, you know?
Absolutely, man. I mean, we've been that way from day one. When I first started doing this very show, it'll be 7 years ago, this September, Bob was the first person I called. I went, Bob, I need editing, I need audio editing software. What do I do? How do I do this? Bob answered all my questions when the time came for Bull Spike Radio to be born. Bob you didn't sit there and go, oh man, more competition. No, you told us right where to go, how to do it, and you were there again earlier this year when Bull Spike Radio was threatened with termination as the internet radio royalties have gotten ridiculous. We'll discuss all of that and more, but let's start where it all began, Bob. We're talking 10 years ago. Official FM radio first went on the air. We're talking 2006. There was no Spotify. There weren't smartphones like there are now. What gave you the idea to say, you know what, internet radio is where I want to be?
Well, it's a funny story, man. I am a graduate of Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and I met a slew of amazing people there who became really close friends of mine. And while at Connecticut School of Broadcasting, a lot of what we did was not only learn how to be radio DJs and radio hosts and that stuff, but we also had to take out studio time and practice and get better at our craft. And one of the guys that did that with me was a dude by the name of Aaron Howard. And Aaron and I became like really fast friends, and it was one of those things where we put together an idea called the Neil and Bob Show, and it was a dumb, stupid idea, and we didn't think anything of it. And we're like, all right, well, let's shop this around to some, FM stations. We're graduates, we're certified broadcasters. We know what we're doing. And, of course, nobody wanted to hear it. Nobody even wanted to listen to this thing, let alone, take us and put us on the air. And so I said to him, I kind of know a way through Live 365 how we could do this ourselves, but I don't have necessarily the funds to do it. And I went to my boss at the time, this guy named Mick, and I explained to him what was going on and how we could possibly maybe get this thing started. And back then the fees were like $20 or something, something really nominal. Mm-hmm. And he turned around and out of his wallet handed me $20. He was like, here, start this, get it going. And I called Aaron that day and I was like, dude, we're starting a station, man. We're starting OFNR, we're starting F&R radio. It was F&R radio then, and we didn't have the call letters, the OFNR. We called it F&R radio. And he was all excited, and he came in, and he brought a friend with him by the name of Derek Woods, and the rest is sort of history in the sense that, the minute we got on, it was just became one of these things where, oh my God, this is so much fun. Like, just to hang out each week with my friends and get on the air and be stupid and talk about dumb stuff and current events and play some tunes. And, it was just a way to be in the radio industry without having to, like, struggle and try so hard to be recognized as radio people. And yeah, I mean, the rest really is history. A lot of these guys have gone on to do other things. Mr. Woods is in the Navy. He's got a family now. A buddy of mine, Video Bill, who you've met, he went off to join the Navy as well. He actually married my wife's sister, so he's actually family, like, in a legitimate way. It's strange, man. It's really wild. We've had 13 or 14 certified broadcasters come through OFNR over the 10 years, and I'll tell you, I can't even thank, people like Aaron and Mr. Woods and Mike Stroud and all these guys who help get this thing going. And it's funny because my wife gave me 4 months. She was like, oh yeah, within 4 months you guys would be bored of this. And of course I give her a good ribbing now because it's like, yeah, so how'd that 4 months turn out? Here we are 10 years later. And she's one of my strongest supporters. I mean, now especially she recognizes how vital this is to my well-being and how necessary of a figurehead I've become in the local community. Because when I stopped for a month or two when my second child was born, everybody was calling me and emailing me and messaging me and like, no, dude, you figure out a way. You're getting back on the air. I don't care what you do. You figure it out. And she was just like, I can't. She's like, I can't believe that happened. I'm like, well, I guess I must be doing something, man.
Yeah, I mean, I remember because if I was one of those individuals saying, look, we'll give you a spot on Bull Spike Radio, because there was no way we were going to let the person that helped us get going, helped me with the learning the ins and outs of the editing, to be able to do some of the editing work needed, not just for this very show, but also for the station as well. There was no way we were going to let you go by the wayside, because there was a change there. Granted, at the time we didn't know whether it was a full time or you could just do it once a week. But look at that, 2 months later, you guys were back on the air as if nothing has happened.
Absolutely. So it was a nice little hiatus in a sense, but I'll never do that again. You know what I mean? That's sort of why we call it OFNR Forever now. And thank you to Milt Hernandez for the OFNR Forever. He's the one who came up with that many, many years ago from Odd Zero. And I called it OFNR Forever because I'm like, you know what? If I call it that, then I'll never be dumb enough to stop again, no matter what. I'll figure out a way. And I'm glad that all these people came to me and said, hey, we kind of need, we need somebody like you out here to help us small-time guys, us local dudes who aren't getting the radio play on the big stations, especially here in Connecticut. None of the big stations. There are a few now that are starting to play a band or two, but overall, there's so many here in Connecticut. There's so many bands. And a lot of them don't get recognized because they're either too heavy or, maybe they're just not, radio friendly in the sense of what FM does. It's all about money. So yeah, it's crazy to me, man, to think it's been 10 years. It's pretty wild. I've seen so many things, and MySpace was a huge thing when we started.
Oh my God.
I still go on my MySpace page every now and again and find new bands. Actually, it's a pretty good spot to find music.
Actually, I've been on MySpace in ages. Like everyone else, it's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is where everyone's at. But I remember the MySpace days. I remember that was where we first ran across each other back when Jay Scorpion was on WBCR and its college radio days, and Rock Against Dystrophy was just in its infancy. I remember we crossed paths via MySpace that way, and Originally, I think you and I were a little iffy on each other because 10 years ago, no one knew what internet radio was going to be, and everyone was kind of worried about making their own name and not trying to build a camaraderie amongst internet radio individuals like there is becoming now. And I think a lot of it now has to do with the fact that we're all now rallying behind something that you fought for in your infancy with official FM radio, and now there's the Small Webcasters Act.
Oh yeah, man, we've been fighting that our whole career. I mean, here at OFNR, we've been very staunch supporters of the idea that, small webcasters and micro broadcasters, people like myself and yourself and the millions of others, we shouldn't be at the same level playing field because we're not being sponsored. I haven't made money doing this in 10 years. I've never made a dime. We've held fundraisers and stuff to keep the station going, but I've never made a profit. We don't have any payola here. There's nobody buying me, anything to play records. I just play it. I actually spend money. I just went out and bought the new Metallica single. I spent $1.30 or whatever it was on iTunes to buy that, because I had to have it. And, I don't do a whole lot of buying of the new music much these days, but I still, even local bands that I play, I'll buy their record. A lot of times they'll hand them to me, but it's still like, well, that's $10, man. Here's $10. Oh, no, we can't take that. All right, well, you've got a shirt. Let me buy that then. You know what I mean? Like, you can't hand me that. So it's like, I try every way that I can to support. And yeah, dude, when Live 365 closed this beginning of this year, and 5,000 stations went out of business, that broke my heart, like in a real way, because it's not really just about OFNR, it's about internet radio in and of itself, man. That's 5,000. Think about that. If that happened in the FM world, 5,000 stations shut their doors in a day, like, people would be shocked, and it would be all over the news and everywhere, and everybody would be talking about it, and it would be a huge deal. 5,000 stations shut down in a day. And some of them have gone on to, radionomy and stream licensing, but tons of them just stopped doing it. And it was so painful to me. And so that's why I'm still to this day like, look, there's no reason that we can't reinstate the Small Webcasters Act. I mean, we are clearly different animals than a big FM station who has a internet stream, because those guys are making money doing this. We're not making money doing this. We're fans. We're hobbyists. At the end of the day, this isn't a business for me, and I've got a 9-to-5 job,
I mean, it's also, I've found that over the years, and, I don't know how much you've dealt with it, because, OFNR, you guys have always been strictly independent music for the majority of your programming.
Yeah, I mean, we do play, like, during the week, we do play modern rock and signed bands, but it's all stuff from, like, I worked at a record store for 5 or 6 years in my life, so I have just 700, 800 discs in my personal collection, But yeah, we focus on the independents, so it's just one of those things. I don't think I could ever go full independent, although I've thought about it, because I know I could get all the rights to all this stuff. But even as a listener, because when I tune into radio, I tune into my own radio, what I mean? As a listener, I like hearing, Metallica or Megadeth or Anthrax or Slayer or any, Dream Theater or whatever, and then right next to it is an independent band that I know and love, and it's like, it levels the playing field for them. It gives them the opportunity to be played right alongside these big name artists,
Right. One thing where I was going with that, aside from the fact that, that's what we do, on both like radio and my affiliates. Aside from yourself, Rock Mauritius Radio, Middle Fortress Radio, and countless out there that do it. There's that. Um, there's that skepticism from the industry, from the record labels, that most of us doing internet radio are guys in their parents' basement with nothing better to do than try to get free music and free tickets and passes to shows. When, granted, you have a 9 to 5, I have a job from home, I'm lucky enough to have. Let's face facts. If you and I were both called tomorrow and said, from either an FM station or from a satellite station, and someone said, we want to hire you, you and I would jump out in a heartbeat, and that's when we would get all of a sudden every label knocking down our door for recognition. Do you feel that's one of the reasons why the small webcasters act is maybe having that hiccup again, because the industry itself, because they're hemorrhaging money, because Spotify abused the Small Webcasters Act? That's why we're kind of caught in this catch-22 of they want more money, they don't want to recognize us as a legit media outlet.
I think there's a lot of that. I think that Pandora and Spotify collectively, I don't want to just point my finger at Spotify, because Pandora was just as responsible for this as Spotify is. I think those places, they obviously have the ability to have representation. They have the representation there in Congress and at these meetings when the Copyright Protection Board gets together and decides this, the royalty rates thing. They are able to have representation. Internet radio in and of itself, there is no one person or one man or woman or to stand up and say, well, wait a minute, the small guys matter too. These are the guys that are really adamant about supporting whatever it is that they're supporting. And, again, we go back to Live 365 closing down, 5,000 stations. I mean, this is jazz, blues, rock, reggae, talk radio, Christian radio. I mean, it runs the gamut. And, yeah, I don't know, man. It's been a fight forever now. And, '07 was when we were actually in the paper for, trying to keep the rates low. And they did pass the Small Webcasters Act. And here we are again in 2016, and it's happened several times over the years. We always seem to fight and make a stand. This time around, it feels way different. It feels way, way different in the sense that I don't feel that the consumers care nearly as much as they did in '07 and again in '09 and and so on and so on. I feel like there's so many outlets now to get music that unless a Pandora or a Spotify were to be in trouble, I don't think that the normal consumer is going to perk up and say, hey, wait a minute, what about all these stations, this, that, or the other thing. It's a very strange sort of thing. And then the other part of it, you say if an FM station were to call me, I would jump at it. I would definitely not. If it was satellite, I would go in 2 seconds flat. I swear like a sailor. If I were to go on FM radio, I would be fired in about 2 seconds. And because I do this, and I've done this for a decade, to reprogram myself to be the nice guy on the radio, I don't think I could do it, man. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to be a disc jockey. I don't want to play music. I don't want to just spin records, and especially the stuff that's on regular radio, because it would get so mundane and so old so fast. I would much rather be someone like what I'm doing here at OFNR, I'd love to be able to take the idea and bring it to satellite and bring in guests and talk to the independent guys. I don't chase after record labels. I don't give a damn. I don't care. I don't go after the big guys. I don't contact any of the record labels. I don't ask them for music or tickets. I don't do any of that because I don't give a damn about them. They are irrelevant to me. What OFNR is about supporting global independent music, rock and metal. That's what those are the people that need my support. They need stations like OFNR to shout them from the rooftop and say, hey, here's a band from fucking Sweden. They're amazing. You should check them out. You should listen to them. And, so I don't know that I would go, maybe if it was like a production job or something where I didn't have to be on the air live, maybe I could do the FM thing, but to be a regular, hey, you just heard, Metallica, and here's some music from, Disturbed. And I think that would get really old for me only because I'm spoiled. I have my own station. I can do whatever I want. Any day I want. I could come into my studio at any time I want and go live any day of the week at any time and say whatever I damn well please. And if a record comes out and it sucks, I could say it. I could say, yeah, that record totally blows. And I don't have to worry that some record label is going to get butthurt and call me and be like, well, we're removing our support or whatever from your station because you went on and bitched about, Victory Records or whatever record company, you know what I mean? I don't have to worry about any of that because I don't care about them. It's just that simple. I mean, sure, I probably could be a lot bigger of a station, I think, if I were to go after those big dogs. But, and if something comes up, I'm certainly not going to, say no. If a bigger band were to be in town or something and I had the opportunity to do an interview, I certainly wouldn't, say no. But I don't chase after them, I just don't care. I'm so into the independent scene now that that's what I care about. Those are the people that I think need the assistance more these days,
Right. I mean, look, and I can tell you and pretty much joining us late. Bob Marino of OFNR joining us by phone. We're talking about everything. Internet radio, they have 10 years in internet radio and more. And I mean, Bob, I can tell you, because you carry the ASYLUM, and everyone listening to the show knows the show. I mix it up. We mix it up at Pulse Spike Radio, but that doesn't do a damn thing for our numbers. I have had the honor, and this, everyone listening knows this. If you missed any of my interviews or on my YouTube channel, forgive the shameless self-promotion. I've had the honor to interview Jason Newsted, to interview OTEP, to interview Big Dad Bridge of Texas Hippie Coalition, Bobby Blake, Bumblefoot, the names go on, along with the indies. And I can tell you, it doesn't matter really who you're interviewing if the labels don't put it out there. No one knows you're there. And I think that's one of the struggles we have with internet radio and why, those like you at Official FM Radio, and even though Bull Spike Radio is only 6 years old, we're 4 years behind you. You sit there and you go, well, we're the ones that kind of should be looked at a little more seriously, and maybe the label should listen to the indie bands that we are playing, because we're around the longest compared to so many others.
Oh, no question, man. There are bands right now today, bands even that I saw yesterday at a show, who I have a total confidence that if they were to be played on regular FM radio, they would do remarkably well in those markets, and maybe even better than a lot of the nonsense that we have out there. I really feel that it's become stale and stagnant, and it shouldn't be. There's a station here in Connecticut that was an FM station for years, and it's CCC in Hartford. Howard Stern was on that station for years, and they went out of business as an FM station and went to internet. And immediately I contacted them and was like, listen, I've been doing this, and at the time it was like 6 or 7 years. I've been doing this 6 or 7 years, internet radio. I am connected to the local scene. Put me on once a week. Let me do a show, just like I do now, once a week to talk about independent local bands. And I didn't even get a response back. Not even not even a hello, nothing. And I mean, some of those guys were professors at Connecticut School of Broadcasting. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's like, well, where's the camaraderie there? Where's the support back? Like, we're all from the same place. I went to the same school that you guys did. Like, you guys were professors there. I went there while you were you guys taught me how to do production and whatever. Are you kidding me? Like, and maybe because I talk so much shit, and I do talk a lot of crap about FM radio and CCC in particular. I definitely gave them a lot of shit because I always felt that they would have done a lot better, and I still feel that way as they are on the internet. They would do a hell of a lot better as a station if they connected more closely with the local scene here in Connecticut and actually came to some of these events and gave a crap about these bands, because those bands have followers and have fans, and those fans are going to listen to your radio station because you are playing their favorite band. And they're going to tell their friends, dude, you should tune into, 1077 because they're going to play our stuff tonight, And people are going to care, and they're going to support your endeavors. And I cannot wrap my head around why that is, except for the fact that I know it's all about money. You know what I mean? It really is, at the end of the day, it's a business. And I can understand that. But I think that if I hear fucking Kashmir one more goddamn time, I'm going to hurt somebody. You know what I mean? Like, there are stations here that have been playing the same shit since 1972. It's like, those songs came out, and you were playing that single, and it's 2016 now, man. It's fucking 40 years later, or whatever it is, and you're still playing that same damn song. And there's so much more music out there. Why couldn't we? Even if you did it for an hour or whatever, or throw them in, mix them in. People are gonna hear. Even satellite, I think, is kind of like this too. Even satellite, from time to time, I hear it. I'm like, God damn, man, that's the same thing I was hearing on FM. They are getting better, though. I'll tell you. Liquid Metal is really good about adding in, and even Octane, Ozzy's Boneyard not so much, but they're really good about adding in new stuff. And I'll hear something, and I'm like, oh man, that's really good. I gotta look those guys up and find out who that is. And I think consumers, man, we're all sick and tired of hearing the same old nonsense as consumers, as people who buy and purchase music, the last of us who care. I think that if they were to branch out from what's, these songs that have been played over and over and over and over, Eagles and Zeppelin and AC/DC, like, yeah, those bands are all great. I'm not knocking any of them. Maybe Zeppelin, but I just think that there's so much more new music out there that could be recognized and appreciated and talked about, and you might even get your DJs to be a little bit more adamant and care, instead of just being, hey, this is Joe, and we're going to play the same stuff that we've been playing since the 20s. And, if you turn to the next station here in Connecticut, especially, if you turn to any station, sometimes you'll hear the same goddamn song, bro.
At the same time, yeah.
It's so bad. It's like, oh, man, I'm going to flip over to this station. Oh, wait, it's the same fucking thing. Or it's 10 minutes later, it's the same fucking thing. It's like, dude, that's so terrible.
But you're right. I mean, look, you and I are approximately 2 hours apart. in driving time. You're in Connecticut, I'm based here in Brooklyn, New York. You at least have FM radio for rock and metal, whereas here in the New York area, unless you work classic rock or Eddie Funk on Friday nights, everything is hip hop, everything is pop, everything is dance. So if it wasn't Bull Spike Radio doing it, and I couldn't get satellite radio in the New York area, I'd be going out of my mind because the major markets in the 10 years you've been doing it, the 6 years I've been doing it, with both like Radio 7, when you count my show, The Asylum, the industry, granted rock and metal is on an uptick right now. I think you and I can both agree record sales are starting to go back up again. But in that time frame that we've both been doing it, it's kind of been this continuing downward spiral of major markets ignoring it, and even the fans going to the point of, oh, well, I'll download it from some illegal website, or I'll find it on YouTube. I don't feel like driving a half hour and spending $50 for a ticket because I only want to see the headliner. And then the people that do go complain, oh, it was a short set. Okay, wait a minute. Where did we go to 10 years ago? There were more shows in this area, both locally and nationally, that there were more shows than we could keep track of or attend or report weekly on air. So suddenly now you and I are digging around going, are there any shows in the area?
Well, I mean, I have that issue, yes, but not nearly as much. I mean, I am very fortunate to be where I am in Connecticut because every weekend, any weekend that I want, I can go to a local show somewhere in the area. Now,
I miss those days.
I think that we've seen a shit ton of venues, both here and in New York, go out of business. And it's always a shame because those are the places that I would go to see a great show. You know, having the Trash Bar go out, for me, is one of those big bummers because I met so many. I met you there. I met, you know, you know, we met at the Trash Bar,
right.
And you know, and I got to see Kill Code, you know, who's now playing, you know, huge festivals overseas. You know, and it's like I remember when they were playing at the Trash Bar, man, in a small little intimate setting to 10 people, and that wasn't that long ago, man. It was within the decade that I've been doing this, and it's always great to see bands like Kill Code and I Kill Ya and these bands that are doing good things. You know, and it's awesome to be able to say, yeah, well, we saw them when they were just starting and just getting going. But we've lost so many great venues, both here in Connecticut and in New York, where it's becoming harder and harder to go to shows. And I mean, I'm very fortunate again we have like 3 major venues here in Connecticut that are very staunch supporters of local music. There's probably a few others, but there are 3 main ones. You know, there's Cherry Street, which is my second home, and I cannot say enough great things about that place. Cook's, which is maybe 5 or 10 minutes away from my house. Another great, awesome venue. Mark's a good dude. He actually cares about local music. We've got Bleachers up in Bristol and the Outer Space in Hamden. Those are the venues. Those are the ones. Now, the problem with that is because there are so few venues and so many bands, it's a constant, well, what show do I want to go to this week? You know, who do I want to go see? And I have to pick and choose, and it sucks because I think if bands could find a way and if venues could find a way to work together, and I don't know that there's an answer. I don't. But I think that overall attendance would go up because people wouldn't have to pick and choose. You wouldn't have 30 people here and 40 people there and 100 people over here. You'd have 200 people in one room, you know, all rocking out to the same thing instead of having all this, you know, kind of, it's sort of stepping on each other in a way, you know, and not working cohesively. And I don't know that there's an answer, you know, because the venues need to make money and the bands all want to play. And what are you going to say? No, I'm not going to do a show tonight because, you know, there's a show across town. Yeah, well, it doesn't work like that, you know, and those venues would close down if they did that. And I don't want to see that. But I feel that if we could figure out a way, and man, if I could figure out a way to make that happen, I think that everyone would benefit greatly. The venues would, the bands would, everybody, the fans would, you know, it's just, but it's one of those things, man. It's ebb and flow, man. I remember going to local shows here, even in Connecticut, you know, to major places like Toad's Place, which is a major venue here in Connecticut. And that place would be booked. It would be sold out. Local bands, no national headliner, none, just locals. And now, I mean, this is, you know, 2006, 7, 8, 9 even. And here we are now, 10 years later, and that place, even with a national act, hardly gets enough people through the door for it to sustain them as a venue. And I mean, they're still around, and of course they're still doing shows, but it's one of those things where it's like, man, you know, the Stones played there, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Like, that used to be a place that, like, had constantly kick-ass stuff going on, and now it's very few and far between. I mean, you really gotta know somebody to hear about something good happening at any of these bigger venues. And a lot of times, you know, it's at, you know, a venue here in an area that's really not the greatest of areas, you know, and I'm not talking Toad's Place. There's a venue called the Webster, and it's probably in the worst part of town, you know. I mean, I've had bands, you know, tell me, oh, yeah, we had our truck stolen there with all our gear in it, and it's like, oh, my God, like, that's heartbreaking. And it's like, you know, if a show comes there, it's like, I ain't going. I just, no offense to them, it's just, I can't afford to have my car stolen or my stuff stolen or...
Sure.
You know, and a lot of bands feel the same way. They can't, you know, bands are just like us, and I feel that's one of the biggest things, at least for OFNR, for myself. I always felt that OFNR is no different than a local band in the sense that, you know, we're all hardworking people. You know, we're, at the end of the day, I'm just a regular dude, and just like these guys are, they all have 9-to-5 jobs. They're working hard. And then on the weekends, you know, and sometimes on the weeknights too, but on the weekends, they're rock stars. They're going out and they're playing shows and they're kicking ass. And I'm no different, you know, and so it's just one of those things. I don't know if there's an answer to that. It sucks. It's really shitty to have a less amount of places to go see great shows. And I think some of the national acts should take note of, and I'm not even talking labels, I'm just talking bands. They should take note of the local scenes, because if they were to lower their prices just a little, more people would come. And a lot of people hate Kid Rock, but I love that dude. If you look back, man.
Oh, I mean, that $40 ticket, he's been doing that the last... 5 years?
Yeah, it was like it's not even a $40. I think it's a $20 ticket, to be honest with you.
And he sells out every venue, and I think every year he manages to fit within the top 10 for the year.
Right, and he's making as much, if not more, than what he would have made if they charged double or triple what he's charging now. So let's say he's charging 20. If they charge 60, well, half the people aren't going. At charging 20, more people are apt to say, you know what, I got $20, I'll go see Kid Rock. And then they go and they're like, whoa, this dude is amazing. He can play every goddamn instrument. He's got such a stage performance. His band is amazing. Good dude, like, great music. And, you know, more people are apt to go. But, I mean, I just recently heard a friend of mine went to see GNR, and it was $600 a ticket, dude.
What ticket did they buy? Because I went to that and it was not. My ticket was, okay, it wasn't a cheap ticket, but I did not pay that price.
No, this was like pit tickets, like straight up against the stage sort of thing. It's like, dude, you just spent like a paycheck for me, man. Like I could never.
No.
Never. Like to me, that's an exorbitant amount. And yeah, sure, maybe it's a once in a lifetime sort of situation. But I would never, not in a million years, not even for Metallica, man. I've paid $100, $150 for a Metallica ticket. But I ain't paying those $600 for one ticket, dude. That's insanity to me. And yet people went and they're making hand over fist. They're making money. I get it, but I do believe that if local or if national acts could find that happy medium, lower their ticket prices just a little, they would have way more people come to their shows and care. You know.
Well, I think some are noticing it. I mean, my best example, and I'm sure you're aware of it, we had recently, earlier this year, Lacuna Coil played St. Vitus here in Brooklyn, New York. And you're talking that is an internationally known band that played a venue that holds 200 people if you're lucky. And it was a $30 ticket. They were the only band to play that night. They played a full 90-plus minute set. After the set, because their new album was coming out the Friday of that week, copies of the album were available to buy right there after the show, and they were doing a free, no charge, buy an item or not, say hello to the band after their performance.
I think more bands need to do that. I really do. I think, and I get it. Again, it comes down to business. You know, bands certainly are not making money on music anymore. So
Right.
touring and shirts and stuff like that is, really where the band is making money. But I think, to charge people to see you and then charge them again to meet you, man, that's a kick in the balls, man. Like, and unless it's something really, really outstanding, I'll pay maybe to go see the band, but I ain't paying another 50, 20, 80, however many dollars. I'm not paying it a second time after I just spent 50 to come see you, just to meet you and say hello. That's crazy to me. I don't know.
Right. I mean, I've done it. I did it with Anthrax. Granted, when they did it with Anthrax, it was unbelievably cheap. It was after their worship music album was $80 to meet the band beforehand. And we're not talking a title call where come in, line up, take your photo, and get out. We're talking everyone was taken down, you waited your turn, you saw it, you met all the guys, they bullshitted with you, they took a photo with you. I mean, when I got to my turn, Frankie Bello made turns to the people working the venue and were like, make sure you take care of this guy and make sure he knows where he's going. Granted, I have a special situation due to my disability, but like everyone else, I don't take advantage of it. But he didn't have to do that.
Yeah, totally. And look, I would probably pay $80 to meet Anthrax too. Like, let's be honest. You know what I mean?
Granted, the price is going up, and I did it with Megadeth. I did theirs way after Hurricane Sandy. They played the House of Blues. It was $250. I said, I may never get to meet them. Let me just do it for the hell of it. Okay, you got a special shirt. You got 2 free drinks. And you lined up to take a photo with the guys. Granted, I was remembered because I had a bumper sticker on the back of my chair that read, I'm only driving this way to piss you off. And Dave Mustaine recorded, and they all busted up laughing. So I did have a bit of a better experience than others, but I'm with you on the idea that, look, an exorbitant amount, I mean, let's face it, the fact that Kiss, and I am a huge Kiss fan, everyone knows this. This is not news to you or anyone that listens to the Asylum on a regular basis. But the fact that bands like Kiss, Motley Crue, when they went out on their final tour, Guns N' Roses, and so on, can charge $3,000 for a VIP ticket, and you don't even get to meet the band, and yet people are buying it. That's where the problem lies.
Yeah, that's insanity, man. That is total insanity. Like for $3,000, I better be able to hang out backstage. Like, you know what I mean? Like I better be treated like royalty for $3,000, man. That's a lot of money, you know.
But that comes around, back to what you were saying in regards to, when you get to see the bands grow. You brought up Kill Code. And now they are playing worldwide. And you and I are the lucky few that know them and got to see them evolve. And we know when the time comes, we might be lucky enough to be backstage and hang out with them in a major show. It's got to be for you, and I know it is for me. When we see bands that we either discovered or broke on air, and they finally get that recognition. You can't, I do it, and I'm sure you do. You sit there and go, I can't believe they made it.
Yeah, oh yeah, man. And again, Kill Code's a great example. I Kill Ya, another great example, picked up on Megaforce Records. I remember talking with Jason, and like right after that happened, and it's like, I'm so proud of you guys for doing that. And like again, that's a distro deal. It's not a record deal per se, but they're still being distributed on a Megaforce Records that's a name that's recognized, And it's like when I had the conversation with Jason, it's like, dude, I got to take you out of independent rotation now and put you in with the main bands, man. That's amazing. Like it's so great. I know there's still a DIY band. They're still struggling as a band as far as, because every band is struggling nowadays.
Of course.
But it's still one of those like moments where it's like, oh my God, I actually get to move them out of independent rotation and put them in with the regular modern rock, metal, general category. And it's one of those things like, man, I remember seeing you guys for the very first time at the Trash Bar, just like Kill Code, or at the Delancey or wherever else. Like I got to see those guys, doing their thing then. And I think this is really speaks volumes for what has almost now become a meme. Every major artist at one time was a local artist, and so you should support your local artists. Well, you know what? I can, and you can, verify that to be 110% true, because here we are talking about Kill Code, who plays now globally, and we saw them, and we met them, and we broke them, and, I remember when Hammer came out, and, like... And that first White record came out, and it's like, man, we were playing the hell out of that and talking with them. And I've got video of them from the Trash Bar, of us hanging out downstairs and like chatting and talking about music and stuff. And now it's like I get to see them on these major monster stages with millions of people in front of them. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's amazing, And yeah, it's lucky few, but you really have to be at a level like Kill Code is, or like I Kill Ya is, or Fear Nothing is. You got to be at a level where, this is it. This is what you're doing, And I think there are a lot of bands that aren't necessarily at that level because of circumstance, it's hard to have a 9-to-5 job and a kid or kids and a house and whatever other things come up in life, and then be like, well, yeah, we can go out on tour for a week or a month. Like, who's going to pay for my house while I'm out on tour for a month? You know what I mean? Like, you know, so it's like, it really is remarkable. And I think, you know, it's one of the coolest parts about being in this industry and being, you know, we're even before college radio, you know, in the sense that we get these bands even before they get spins for CMJ.
Sure.
You know, Dead by Wednesday, perfect example. They're getting spins on CMJ now. I remember meeting those guys in 2009, right around the time that they were just coming out and hanging out with them. And I mean, I know Opus now for years and like know him on a personal one-on-one level. Like I've hung out with the dude, like families gotten together, you know. And here they are. He's got a fucking amazing, awesome new record with all these brilliant musicians, like, you know, all these singers, Sean Atkinson and fucking, you know, or Sean Danielson from Smile de Soul and John Arch, and it's like, man, it's really one of those things that, you know, you got to grind, man. You really got to work hard at it in this day and age, and to be just discovered and picked up, that shit don't happen no more.
No, and you know, and like you said, the fact that we're doing it, we treat it the same way the bands do, and well, you're going to do like the bands do, and you do it every year, and we don't want to forget to bring it up, but your 10-year anniversary concert show is happening, and I mean, let's be honest, your wife gave you 4 months when it all started 10 years ago. Did you at any point honestly think that you would be planning and booking a 10-year anniversary show?
No, definitely not. And we've been doing Effin' Fest now for 10 years. Every year we always had a concert of some sort, and the very first one actually included Odd Zero. They came up from New York to Connecticut, and we did it at a small little fucking hall, tiny little place. I mean, maybe it held 50 people. Maybe there was 20 there. Maybe. You know what I mean? Like, if I was lucky, because nobody knew who the hell we were. You know, we weren't even near where we are now. And, you know, I'm still a pretty small fish in the grand scheme of things. But, yeah, to think now, like, here we are, you know, a couple weeks away, the 24th of September, at Cherry Street Station, because there's no other place that I can think to have a great concert but my home away from home, and that's Cherry Street. To think that I'm going to do 10 years and have a big celebration and have my metal family there with me to party and celebrate the fact that, you know, here I am just kind of being a music fan with way too much time on my hands. And I say that all the time. It's so true. I'm nobody special in the grand scheme of things. I mean, yeah, I do a lot of stuff for the scene. I can, you know, and I said this in the Alternative Control article, I consider this volunteering. You know, I consider this community service. Everybody says, you know, help out your community. Well, my community is the metal and rock community. And any way I can help them, that's what I do. Free flyers, videos, websites. I don't, you know, a lot of times if I charge, it's a very nominal sort of thing, and it's really just for my time. But to think, you know, I'm going to have, you know, probably about 100, maybe more people come out to a show. And first of all, you want to talk about deals, Turbo? Dude, 10 bands for $10. That's a band $1, dude.
You can't get better than that.
And this is like some serious talent, man. I mean, I've got bands coming from out of state for playing, you know, half-hour sets, and it's 10 bands. You know what I mean? Like, and you want to talk deals, man? That's a bargain. And the great thing is, all these bands are going to hang out. They're going to come to the show. They're going to play, and they're not going to take off right afterwards. They're going to hang out and party, and you'll be able to go over to them and be like, yo, that was an awesome set, great job, like, and talk with them and have discussions about music and consumption and anything else you can possibly ever want, you know. And I'm very fortunate that some of these bands, a lot of them especially that are playing the 10-year, I can consider them friends, and in some cases even I go as far as saying they're family. They're people that I know I can count on if something tragic were to happen. I know they would be there for me. And so it's one of those things that no, I don't think I could ever. When we started, it was a joke. This was a gag, man. This was really was. I don't blame my wife for giving me 4 months. It was a gag. It was something to do for fun, a way to cut loose with my friends and get together. And now it's one of those things. OFNR is one of these things I can't not do. Like, I couldn't imagine my life not having this, not having a OFNR, not being a part of the music industry, not being a part of a radio station, not being able to get on the air and joke around and talk about music and have bands come in. And it's wild, man. It's really, really, really bizarre to me to think that this is the thing. I haven't had jobs for 10 years. I've changed jobs in the last 10 years 4 or 5 times, but this is the one constant. It's been going on for 10 years straight, minus a couple hiatuses here or there, It's crazy. It's fucking nuts.
It is, and you know what though? I've said it for years. You gotta be crazy to be in this industry.
Yes.
Because otherwise, you wouldn't be in it.
Yeah.
You gotta be crazy, you gotta have heart, and you gotta be dedicated to what you do, and no one does it better than you. Bob Marino, official FM radio, 10 years in the books. More to come. Cherry Street is the venue.
924, yeah, and 10 bands. It's a hell of a bill. Let me pull up the list here real quick before we end this, just so I can make sure I name all the bands that are going to be playing. It's not only the OFNR 10 year, we're also doing Scott Anarchy of Crossing Rubicon, which is an amazing band, by the way, and you should see them. They are constantly out on tour now, and another one of those bands that I'm fortunate enough to know, and I see them growing and going out on tours and stuff. It's his birthday as well. He had asked that I add that to the show, and I was like, absolutely.
Of course, with it, I think they're just scratching Octane on satellite radio.
Yes, and they've been on Blabbermouth, and they are been on Metal Injection as actually the worst band ever, I think, is what they got on Metal Injection, which they love because it's, any publicity is good. But so Crossing Rubicon, obviously they're playing because it's Scotty's birthday, and I got Vision Within from Massachusetts. My bros at She Walks Without Legs, they're playing. Fear the Masses, Everybody Hates Me, Stickpin, Naya, Enemy of Reason, Dumpster Fire from Mass, and then I Within I as well. And, of course, the whole thing is going to be broadcast live on OFNR. If for some reason you can't get out to the show, if you're in the city or whatever and you can't get to Connecticut, I understand, but there's no reason you should miss such an amazing event because we're going to broadcast the whole thing live, which is, that's something we kind of do. So, 10 bands, $10. It's going to be amazing. Cherry Street Station. It's 491 North Cherry Street Extension, Wallingford, Connecticut. The metal mecca of Connecticut. An amazing venue. And, come out and hang out. Party with us. I'm going to have brand new 10-year shirts. I got those made. I ordered them this past week. So they'll be here just in time for the show. We'll be selling those. And thanks to Kevin James Freer of Demons Past for putting together that logo for us. It's sick. It's awesome. Looks great. And, dude, I don't know. It's just been an amazing experience. And meeting people like yourself and your brother and all the bands that I've met over the years and all the shows, dude. I've gone to so many goddamn shows over 10 years, dude. And they're so much fun to go and see music in a way that is sort of dying, in the sense that people aren't playing live music the way they used to. Bands are playing with backing tracks and fake amplifiers and shit. I'm going to see real bands, real artists playing real music, and man, I can't even imagine my life without doing this. And I want to thank everybody for all the support over all the years, donating and tuning in and coming to our events and all the things that, they do, that the people do to support me and support this station and all the people that have worked here over the years. It's insane to me, man. It really is, and I never quite know what to say when people thank me for being at an event, because it's like I'd probably be here anyway. But, it really is humbling, and I think you and I are kindred spirits because we both agree that it's about having a passion for this music thing. It's, the one constant in my life has been music, always. And this is really just another sort of branch of that, in a way that I can't imagine my life without OFNR, and I can't imagine my life without getting up and, oh, hey, the ASYLUM's coming on. Dude, I got to listen, make sure I tune in for that and check it out and hear about, all the cool people that you have on or all the cool music. You're going to play something cool. It's like, oh, shit, I need to get that now because Turbo played it. I got to get that, So it's I don't know, dude. It's really been a wonderful experience the past 10 years. It's crazy to me that it's been 10, and that we're reached the double digit. It's nuts. It's nuts. And you guys are right behind us, and I can't wait for your 10 year. I'm totally going to come out because I know you're going to have a big old party, and I'm coming. I don't give a shit.
I tell you what, I don't know how we're going to get where, because the New York venues are just not where as many as it used to be when we started. But by hook or by crook, there will be a 10-year for us where we're 4 years out from that. And like you are as much a part of it as we are. Without your help, Pulse Break Radio would have never gotten on the air for the first time 6 years ago, and might not have stayed on the air earlier this year. So aside from, I gotta thank you for that, because let's face it, we are not enemies, we are comrades in arms in internet radio. And for those of you that have listened to this entire conversation, first of all, thank you for sticking with us.
Yes, I know we go on and on, but
very rare that we go on this long without music. But look, 10 years in internet radio again is a big deal. And Bob, what do you think? Let's call it where we see it. We're at a very interesting crux in the industry, in internet radio and music and radio itself. Do you think either one of us will see that 20-year mark? And do you think maybe we'll finally get the recognition we've all worked so hard to do?
I'll be honest, man. I certainly would love to say that in 20 years or 10 more years, I'll definitely still be doing this. And minus them increasing our fees so much that I can't do this anymore, I'll be doing this 10 years from now for sure. No doubt. Minus some amazing tragedy either from the industry fucking us or something else coming up, I'm not going anywhere, man. This is part of my life, 110%, and I ain't looking for recognition, to be honest with you, man. Recognize the fact that we're out here. That's really all I give a shit. That internet radio is a real thing. We're not. I'm in a 324 square foot space right now. I'm not in my mom's basement. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. So, even the dog's getting excited. I love it.
Exactly. even my dog Theo is putting his 2 cents in, and he's also reminding us, hey, get back to
some music.
Get back to some music.
For sure.
So why don't we, Bob, again, 10 years of doing internet radio is something I look forward to reaching here at Bull Spike Radio, and I know everyone in the world of internet radio, whether they want to admit it or not, whether they look at you as a comrade or an enemy, they have to admit that 10 years is something to be admired. And they may not say it, but I'll say it on their behalf of everyone on internet radio. Thank you for the fight that you put in to keep internet radio going and keep going with what it is you are doing with internet radio. Bull Spike Radio will be here always for you and can't thank you enough for what you've done for us.
Turbo, thank you so much for having me on. All the listeners to Bull Spike, and make sure you check out Indy 180 on Bull Spike Radio on Sundays from 6 to 9 each and every week. We do a great show. We always have some great guests, and this just been an awesome time, man. Thank you so much.
Bob, you're welcome. Normally, I would ask my guest to check out a song or something, but as we're talking, I can't help but think, you know what? The best way to do it is to play a band where we first met, play some Odd Zero, and I'm thinking Dirty Electricity.
Sounds like a great pick to me, man. Sounds like a great pick to me, and Odd Zero is one of those bands. They will always have a place in my heart because they're the ones that really vouched for us down there in the city and made sure that people knew who the hell we were and introduced me to you. And I can only say thanks to them and of course, to Milt for the OFNR Forever tagline. And great pick, Turbo.
Thank you, brother. Everyone, stay tuned. If you haven't checked them out yet, go check out official effing radio, OFNR Forever.com. And we'll be back in a bit with more tunes. Right now, Odd Zero, Dirty Electricity, here inside the Asylum.